a sequence of unfortunate events. Hey guys, it's Alyssa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another story time. It's not like that interesting. I kind of just thought of this like on the spot, like literally 10-20 minutes ago. Today's story is about what happened when I thought I had a blood clot in my leg. If you guys have been watching me, then you probably already know that I am a hypochondriac. Still admitting it. Because of that, these kinds of things happen to me. This story isn't that crazy. It's just a sequence of unfortunate events. This was back in the end of March of 2019, okay? I was at my old job and for like, I think like a day or two, like I was just having like the worst pain in my leg, like I think in my thigh, like in my inner thigh or so. I don't really remember where now exactly, but I just remember sitting at work and like it was just like prominent, okay? And of course started Googling like what you're not supposed to do. And of course I'm seeing like blood clot. I'm reading like these articles of like people that were saying like, oh, I just thought I pulled like a muscle and turns out I almost died, you know, like crazy shit like that. So of course I'm stressing. I'm talking to my mom and I'm like, Mom, like I need to go to the doctors. She's telling me I'm fine per usual. And the only reason I was very concerned in this moment was because literally I was leaving for Florida. And if you don't know, if you go on a plane with a blood clot, that's a no-no. Like you really go and die. So I was kind of stressing about that. I really want to say if I wasn't going on a plane, I probably would have waited it out. But like this plane thing was really freaking me out. Like was not trying to go on a plane and then like start dying like midair. Just didn't want to do that day. So I finally was like, you know what? Going to the doctor. So I go to my family doctor. I explain said symptoms. I explain that I'm going on a plane. When I went to the doctor, I was literally leaving for Florida the next day, like literally the next morning. So this was a day before Florida. She's like, listen, I really am going to recommend to you to go to the emergency room at Beaumont because we don't have, they didn't have like the machine, I don't know what it's called, but like to check for that at my doctor. So she's like, I'm gonna really recommend to you to go to the emergency room to get this checked out because I am concerned because A, you are on birth control, which can cause blood clots, and B, like you said, you are going on a plane. She's like, honestly, if those two things weren't happening, I'd probably just say like to wait it out. So I was like, I agree, Doc, you know? So I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, this is what she said, blah, blah. And I'm driving. Okay, at this point in time, this was when I kind of like just got my truck. I had my truck for 5-6 months at this point. I'm driving on this road that is kind of like, there's just a lot of just neighborhoods around it. And it's just like a one-way and a one-way, like there's just 2 lanes, you know? And how do I explain this? So I'm kind of stressed, you know, I'm driving to the emergency room via doctor's orders and like leaving for Florida the next day. Like it's just a little stressful. And I'm driving and about like, I'm not good with like measurements, but it was like far, but not far. Like it was close, but it wasn't like close, okay? I see a deer. So I like hit my brakes, you know, because said deer is crossing the road. And I'm watching said deer, right? I'm like, okay, cool. And as soon as I see it cross, I go. Okay, well, no one ever told me that like deers run in like packs because you know what? I just want to say every time I've ever seen a deer cross the road, it's just been one. Every single time, it's been one deer. So I'm watching said beautiful deer pass the road. I'm like, okay, and I go. Now, should I have looked? Yes, okay, but like stress. And when I go, I hear, and now this is me. Let me just reenact this. Oh my God. That's what I did. Okay, I kind of took even longer than that. Like I was just very like shocked right now. So then I start crying, right? I'm crying because I just hit a deer, okay? And now I have to go check to see if it's alive, as well as like, I just got this truck, dude. So I'm sitting there for a minute, just like in total awe, have like, literally just like, and I look this way to my left, and I see said deer that I hit all the way on the other side of the road, like back diagonal. And I'm kind of just thinking like, how did it even like get over there? Like I didn't even see that. I didn't even see the deer. Like I didn't see anything. Like I saw, well, I did see, I saw like a split second as soon as I like, you know, whatever. So I'm sitting in my car. I call my mom, crying. I just hit a deer, oh my God. And I'm crying, okay? And she's like, well, what, like, you know, what happened, how's your car? Like, but I'm like, I don't know, I haven't gotten out yet. Like, I'm saying this as I'm crying, obviously. I'm like, I haven't gotten out yet. Like, I'm scared, like, and because I was just imagining that for some reason, like, the deer's, like, body parts were just gonna be all over my car or something. So I get out of the car, on the phone with my mom, I look, and I just go, oh. And she's like, what? And I'm just like, it's fine, but like, it's not fine. Like the front end of my truck is like, the like thing of it, I don't even know what it's called, is like plastic, you know, like it's not like whatever. So like that was just all like broken into, and I could see the deer's feathers, or fur, not feathers. I could see the deer's fur like just like in the, it was sad. Still gotta go to the hospital, you know, remember I'm on the way to see if I have a blood clot and if I'm dying. So I'm driving and my engine light goes on and I'm like, well, this is great. This is just what I need. So I'm like, well, we're gonna have to worry about that later. I have to get my leg checked. So I'm sitting in like the waiting room, you know, it's taking forever. And I'm just sitting here just like still baffled at the fact that I hit a deer. Like, never hit a deer in my life up until that point. And I was just also very sad because I had this image that was stuck in my head of when I hit the deer. What about the other deer? This other deer was just trying to go across the road with its friend, its daughter, its mom, its son, I don't know who, you know, someone close to them. And like, could you imagine you're crossing the road with your friend and then you look back and your friend's dead because I hit them. And now said deer just has to go on with its life. Like, I felt worse about the other deer that was alive than the one that I killed, because I'm just thinking like, oh my God, like I killed their something, their daughter. I killed their mom. I killed their best friend. I killed their lover. I killed somebody. And like, they just had to like chug along like the little engine that could. And I'm so sorry. So I'm staying in this waiting room, depressed about this deer. Long story short, I get called in. They do the, I don't even know what it was. Whatever, they did an ultrasound. I don't even know, whatever. They do it on my leg. And then it was a very weird time. After I got said scan or ultrasound or whatever it was, I don't know what it was. They sat me in like the hallway. So like, they were really busy that day. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. Something was happening. Like I remember like something going on. It clearly wasn't COVID, but like something was going on where like everybody was really sick or something. And they like put me in the emergency room hallway, like on like this like chair that was like there, or like there was a bed there. They're like, you can just sit there for now. They're like, we don't have a room yet. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like sitting there forever. Like I had like nurses walking by and they're like, are you like, is like someone? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like waiting, I guess, for something, don't know. I was under the impression that like if everything was fine, like if there was no blood clot, that I would just get like told, hey, no blood clot, check out, and you can go, you know? So I started stressing because like that wasn't happening. Like I wasn't getting checked out. I wasn't being, like I was being told to wait, and like the vibes were just very weird, okay? Finally somebody comes up to me and they're like, okay, please follow me. And they like take me somewhere else and like give me a room. So now I'm stressing because like the only other time that I've gotten a room at a hospital was when I was getting surgery on my appendix. So I'm thinking, I have a blood clot. I was right. This is what's happening. And so I'm like texting my mom because she's like, you know, you've been gone for a long, like I was there for a long time, guys. Like I said, it was really packed and like there was a long wait and then another wait and then like now I had to get into a room. Like I was there for hours, dude. I'm like in this room and like someone comes in and they like don't really say much to me. They were kind of just like, oh, you got the scan or whatever. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, so you already did that? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. And they like left and I was like, okay, thanks for info. And my mom started kind of stressing out because like I'm telling her all of this as it's happening and she's like, do I come up there? Like, is this happening? I'm like, no, don't come up here yet because for all I know, they're just gonna like send me home. Like I'll, you know, if something's happening, then you can come up here, you know? And at the same time, the kid that I was talking to at the time, we'll give him the name Aaron. Aaron was also doing the same thing, like, cause I was obviously texting him the whole time, you know, after the deer, after, you know, whatever, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, you've also been there for quite some time. And my phone was dying. Wanna throw that out there. Phone was dying. So he's like, do I bring you a charger? Like, do I come up there? Like, what's happening? And I'm like, no, let's just wait. So I'm still waiting. Now I'm just waiting more in this room and it's just like the longest wait of my life. And I was convinced, like I was 110% convinced like I had a blood clot. Cause then like another person comes in and they're like feeling on my leg and shit and like my foot and like doing some weird shit. Not saying anything really. And then they leave. And I'm like, are you trying to see if I'm dying? Like, and you're not telling me that I'm dying? Or what? Finally, after a long awaited time, they come in and someone comes in and tells me that I'm fine. No blood clot, everything is good to go. And I'm kind of like annoyed a little bit at just the fact of like the stress that was being caused by how they were handling the situation and the vibes that they were giving me. It was making me think that I did have a blood clot because they were just, the vibes were very off, let me tell you. I text my mom, I text Aaron, tell them no blood clot. I'm getting checked out to leave. And the story doesn't end here. It ends for the blood clot part, but you know, now we're like invested with my whole car in the deer situation. So I go back to my car, you know, I've had a long day. Okay, may I mind you, I worked that day, okay? I literally left work and went to my family doctor, so I haven't even been home. I was at the doctor's and the emergency room and hitting a deer the whole day. At this point, it was dark out. Okay, I don't remember what time it was, but it was dark. It was probably like 8 or 9 p.m. I go to my car and my engine light's still on and it's making a weird ass noise, okay? Like, I'm not really like good with cars. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to sound like and not sound like. But like, you know when something's off, you know? Like, you know when it sounds a little jank. And it was just making a weird ass noise and my engine light's on. So of course, again, just being like a hypochondriac, I guess. I'm like driving home and like, I'm just terrified I'm gonna blow up. Like I'm thinking, I'm gonna blow up. So I get home and I was supposed to hang out with Aaron that night because again, I was leaving for Florida the next day. Like, can we just all like keep that in mind too? Like I was literally leaving for a vacation the next day. Like talk about stress. I don't even think I packed because knowing me, I pack like that night or like the next morning. Like I'm a very last minute packer. So like stressed to the max, okay? But yeah, Aaron at the time was a sweetheart and you know, he came because I was supposed to hang out with him. So I'm like, I'll just drive to you because he lived really close to me. And he was like, no, you know, we don't know what's going on with your car. Like, I'm like, I'm sure it's fine. Like I made it home from the hospital. So he drove to me to try and check my car out. Couldn't really see anything, couldn't really tell because my truck has like a covering underneath to keep all the parts in and protect them. So he was just like, you know what, you can come with me. Like we'll leave your car here. I'll drive you to my house and then I'll drive you home in the morning, which don't talk to Aaron anymore. But Aaron, if you're watching, that was very sweet because, you know, like he had to wake up at like, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the morning to drive me home just so I could get to the airport when like, whatever. Thanks, Aaron. So yeah, then we had to drop my car off that morning before I left for the airport. Like me and my mom, we had to drop my car off at a collision shop to get fixed while I was in Florida. Living my best life. So yeah, random story, wasn't that crazy, I know, but like it was on my mind because in March of 2019 it was a crazy story. You know, I hit a deer. It has really nothing to do with the blood clot, but like blood clot is what caused deer hitting Moral of this story, okay? Deers travel in packs, okay, or in pairs, or there's always another one, I guess. So look out. No one told you, bitch, about it, so thanks for that one. Well, that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already, and comment down below what you want to see from me in my upcoming videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Why does my hair look so dark? Guys, it's not even this dark. Like, it looks like I dyed it, and I've never dyed my hair. Like, what in the world?